Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys had a great day. For all those that are coming on, please like and share the video. I'm just waiting for my guests to come on tonight. Larry, are you in? I hope you guys are having a great day. Larry, are you here? For all those who can, please like and share the video. I want to also say thank you for you guys sharing and liking all the videos, conversations that I've had before. This evening we have Larry on. Hello.
Hey.
What's going on? Ooh, you turn that down some. Ooh,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so before we get started, as you know, with the conversations I've had with other people, I first come on and basically say that I believe in 6 degrees of separation. I believe that we are one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you want to be. Also, I know that I'm a connector. Usually people contact me. Do I know somebody who does this? Do I know a DJ? Whatever the case may be, and here it is. I send the information. It has been proven over and over again since I started this that 6 degrees of separation is real.
Yeah,
Like seriously.
absolutely.
And then I go on to say how I met the person. So I'm gonna say maybe either the late end of 2018 or 2019, I met you in Highland Park.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You were with ADOT
Yes.
doing this great song that was if I didn't know them better, if I didn't know that you were up there actually singing, I would have never thought that was you.
Yeah.
So after that, I congratulated you, like, man, that was awesome. You was talking about how you were so nervous, and I think that might have been either the first or the second time I saw you. You did your own uh what did they call it?
Feature.
Moment on stage where you did your own music.
Yeah, I did a feature
And you
there.
talking about how yeah, a little feature.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you talking about how nervous I am and this and that. I'm like, what?
Well, there's always some nerves when you are performing live. You know what I'm saying? It'd be so many things that be going through your head. Um, Hoping that the sound is right, that they can hear you. Um, so.
Yeah. So I think actually before that, because of ADOT, I think I saw you on Facebook before I actually met you in person. And I remember seeing this salt and pepper, big afro. And I'm like, oh, he looks, familiar or whatever. And when I actually met you, it was you're very nice, very professional, and are you still there? Or are you froze? I think he's froze. I think he's froze. Um, I think he's froze. Hopefully, none back. Trying to get him back.
I'm back.
Back too. I see.
Somebody was trying to call me. It messed it.
So that usually happens. So I was saying that for those who are on, also please like and share the video. Tonight we are talking with Larry, or what you want, Boog?
Yeah,
What you want me
Boog
to
is
say?
cool.
So in the meantime of me meeting you, I think I were Facebook friends with you before I actually met you.
I believe so. I believe so.
And
Yeah.
I remember I'm like, oh, I think I've seen him before. And then when I met you in person, it was like, oh, now the connection. Um, and at the time, I think I friended you because you were in entertainment. So now that we know how I met you, we're gonna get into how did you get into music before we get into the DJing.
How did I get into music? Oh man, that's a. I've been in music since I was little. I was basically born into music. My mom and my aunt sang, and um, most of my upbringing was mainly gospel. My mom and my aunt sang in Thomas Whitfield choir, and my aunt was like best friends with Thomas Whitfield, and so he was like my play uncle or whatever, and so we used to always go to like rehearsals and stuff, and so that's like really when I started like like getting interested in singing or whatever. So my aunt kind of got me started. So I sang in church first. So that's how my musical journey started.
What it just in that point of actually mention the maestro
Oh
of
yeah,
Detroit,
yeah. I got a
uh,
chance.
Thomas Whitfield, uh, being around, because I grew up in church, and I have been around music since as a kid, and the church that I grew up in affiliated with Second Ebenezer, and it was nothing to be around them, the Michael Fletchers and things of that nature. So when you mentioned it, it was like you too,
Yeah,
like
like I used to sit
um,
through rehearsals all the time. My auntie would take me with her or whatever, and I would sit through rehearsals, and I actually got a chance to see him create stuff because we would get there early or whatever because her and my godfather and him were like really really good friends or whatever, and so I'd sit there and watch them before rehearsal even started, like before people even got there, and just watching him, what I'm saying, finish a song or start on a new song. He'd be sitting there and be like, "Oh, I got something else," and he'd just start another song, and we'd be like, "Oh, okay." And like actually watching one time come up with a song while we were sitting there, and then he changed the rehearsal and was like, "We're not doing the songs that I said we was gonna do. I got a new song that I just wrote." And he like, so I just watching
I
him
I
just
still
watching him
feel
give them
like
all their parts, like and like sing them. It's crazy. So
Wow.
yeah, that's how I got started. That's when I was like, oh man, like I want to be, you know what I'm saying, a part of music or whatever. And so that's how I got started. Just really just watching, observing, and then, you know, my auntie got me started in like the, you know, the youth choir, kids choir, and stuff like that. I sang at school. Back then, schools had, you know, regular music programs. So all of the music classes I was in. So I was like in this one program called Super Singers, and there was another one that we had, and like we was like every time the school had like anything where we had to assemble, they had to sing. So we was always singing. So that's like how I got started, like early. Yeah.
Wow. That's good. So with that being said, basically you answered my next question. Like when you were in school, were you in choir? Were you in band? What
Yeah,
like
just it wasn't
what
really
was that?
choir per se. Like I said, it was called Super Singers, and they had another little group, and we really only did stuff when the school assembled or whatever, had an assembly or whatever, or like if they was doing something special for the school and the parents had to be there, and we would always be the first ones to, you know, sing. We would open up or whatever. So it was cool. I did band for a little bit. Um, because I played piano and drums when I was a kid. But I learned piano and drums outside of school, just because of all the people that we was connected to in church or whatever, and like some of my um, parents' good friends, they kids was already playing, and then they was like, "Oh, you want to learn? Okay, we'll teach you too." This lady that my dad used to go to when he was younger, she ended up being my piano teacher. So I did piano for like 6.5 years when I was younger or whatever. So I played piano from age 6 to 12, or age 6 to like 12, almost 13. So
Mm,
yeah.
wow. Hmm. So how did you get into really getting into like DJing? Like I know it was probably what 80s or something.
Um, it was like it was early '90s when I got introduced to DJing, and I got introduced to DJing at school. I was in middle school, and I was in a program in the middle school I was at. They had a radio and TV program or whatever, and so the teacher, he would teach us a different um, modality or skill or whatever that was associated with radio or with TV. And so one week, you know, we was supposed to be doing stuff for radio, and he brought in a turntable, and he brought in like a little microphone setup or whatever, and just, you know, started going over the the role of the DJ, um, showing us how to mix a record, and then, you know, showing us how, you know, disc jockeys was, you know, be on the radio and doing announcements, introducing songs and stuff like that. So when I saw the turntable, I was like, oh snap, like this is dope, this is fresh. And I like I instantly, that whole class I was trying to get him to show me how to mix, you know what I'm saying, the record or whatever. And I went home. I told my mom and my dad, and I'm like, man, I want a turntable. But my parents was like, oh no, like that's too expensive. We don't want you tearing nothing up. Because I was only like, it might have been like 11, 10 or 11 at that time when I first got introduced to it. So they was like, that's too much money to be spending. Da, 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 da. So, you know, all my early, um, you know, dealings with DJing was really just in school at the class or whatever. And so the teacher, you know, even though he brought it in that one week, he ended up bringing it back. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes after class or like on my lunch break, I would go to his class and hang out, and I'll, you know, mess around with the turntable or whatever. So that's how I started messing around, you know, with DJing. So even though I didn't get any equipment, then it just kind of like stuck with me or whatever. And so during that time, I was still like heavily involved in church or whatever. So I was just singing in choir at church during that time, middle school and high school. And so then after high school, I was still singing some. I had joined this community choir in the city or whatever. That was doing some traveling or whatever. We did some stuff with Hezekiah Walker and John P. Key and some other people or whatever. And during that time, I had a cousin who was in the military. She got married, and the guy she married was from New York, and he used to be a DJ in New York. So he had all this equipment with him when he moved here or whatever, and he had set it up in the basement. He had set everything up the first time I went to their house, and I was like, "Yo, like this all your stuff?" And he like, "Yeah." He was like, you know what I'm saying, "You interested or whatever?" And I was like, "Hey, shit." So he showed me some stuff, and after that, he was like, "Man, anytime you want to come through, if you want to learn some more, and you want to practice or whatever, you can come over anytime you want to." And so that's what I did. Like days that whether I was working or not, like I was over there. Like I literally would just go over there. Actually, I was going over there for two things because he was a hooper too. So I was still active playing ball and stuff. So I would go over there. We would work out. I would work on basketball in the yard with him, and then
Yeah.
I literally go right inside afterwards, and I would be in the basement for like hours practicing DJing.
So what was it like? You know how they showed on what's this the story about NWA? How Dre used to be with his beats and um just being around music constantly. Um, was that like that for you?
Um, Maybe not like Dre, but I mean it was similar or whatever. Like I said, I've always been connected to somebody in music, and just because of the church connections, and then the people that I met in school was doing music. Having the opportunity to meet people like Aaliyah real early. You know what I'm saying? Because she used to come to my high school and do stuff. Um, and I knew her through other people too, who was either dancing or singing or whatever. Um,
Cause she went to
yep,
DSA, right?
yep. So a lot of
Okay.
times, I was at Cass, so we was right down the street from each other on Grand River. So there was times where
Hmm.
they would come down to Cass and be in our performing arts building or whatever. And so there was a couple times that she came there. One of the girls that I went to school with at the time, I think was dancing with her, or one of the people doing choreography or whatever. So they'd be in the auditorium or in one of the back rooms in the performing arts department, you know what I'm saying, working on routines and stuff like that. So just being exposed to that, being exposed to, people in the band or whatever, is what kind of like kept me like linked to, what I'm saying, music. Plus, like I said, I was already singing in the choir and stuff. I was dancing then. I was in the hip hop dancing and stuff like that. So I was always doing something music related. So it was either
Mm.
music or it was sports, and so more so music than anything. So when any downtime that I had, it was music.
So how did you get the nickname Boog?
Well, actually, my nickname came from me dancing. So my friends, like we would always go out any of the high school dances that we went to, and then even after high school, I was always the one dancing. I was the jitter in the crew, and so my boys started calling me L Boogie because I like getting your boogie on. You always dancing, so that's how I actually got the name. So it started off as L Boogie, then it went to L Boog. And so I kept L Boog, you know what I'm saying, as my DJ name. And then after that, then people just started shortening it and calling me Boog. So, when I started my own music, I just stuck with Boog.
Okay, so on the average, like I know a lot of people are saying that. I think you mentioned it earlier, with your parents saying that with the equipment, with DJing, how much does all of that stuff cost?
Well, now DJing is a lot more affordable now than it was back then because there weren't as many options for DJing. Back when I was trying to start, especially back when I was in middle school, there was only turntables, and turntables, cost quite a bit. And so at that time, it was like trying to get a turntable and a mixer and headphones, microphones, all this stuff. My parents was like, "Yeah, nah." So that stuff, it just wasn't cheap. But now there are several options for people, what I'm saying, to start DJing or whatever. So if you can't get turntables right away, you can start on controllers, um, and the next option would be CDJs, and then it's turntables. I mean, some there. So like now they got it set up where you basically got, I guess you can say it's levels to you know the equipment that you can buy. So you got tiers of equipment that's between a certain price, and that would typically be for a beginner, and then you got um, equipment that you could say is for intermediate, and then um, those that's really like into it and like really know what they're doing. At that point, once you master a piece of equipment, it really is not that much of a difference to the equipment as you like upgrade your equipment.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Each equipment, each manufacturer that has products or whatever, they may have something specific for their brand or whatever, but you may have to learn maybe one or two different things that's different from something else that you might use, but they all have the same basic functions or whatever. So regardless
Mm-hmm.
of what piece of equipment you use, once you learn the basics of it and master that, then you're good. Because really, after learning the equipment, it's really about learning how to DJ in front of crowds. Because then it's about using your ear. You know what I'm saying? Learning how to read a crowd. That's when your knowledge of not only your music library but what's out, and what's popular comes into play because then you gotta be able to blend, what you have with knowing what's hot and making that work for whatever crowd that you DJing for. So that's probably really like the biggest thing
Mm-hmm.
with DJing. Once you learn the technical stuff of learning how to use the equipment, how to beat match, how to beat juggle, how to blend and match and mix. When you start getting into scratching and all that stuff, like you can master that, but the real mastery comes from when you got to play for crowds. That's really gonna dictate, you know what I'm saying, if you're gonna be able to last with it, you know what I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like even with people that perform, like you can rap all day at home, you know what I'm saying, put songs together,
Mm-hmm.
but you really don't know what's what until you actually get in front of crowds and you start to hone your skill, with connecting with the crowd that you're in front of, you know what I'm saying, and be able to have them, what I'm saying, move to, what I'm saying, whatever it is that you're doing, what I'm saying, you controlling the room, controlling the emotion of the room, controlling the energy of the room. And so it's the same thing for a DJ when we DJing for folks. You are in control of the energy of that room. You know what I'm saying? And so that's really like the biggest thing to master, what I'm saying, when you become a DJ. And so it's always ongoing because stuff always changing, music always changing. You know what I'm saying?
Changing.
So you really
Mm-hmm.
just you all it's forever learning, what I'm saying, cycle or whatever when it comes to DJing. So once you learn the technical stuff, it's really just about staying connected and grounded and being able to connect with the people that you're, what I'm saying, actually DJing for.
So what is the livelihood of a DJ? Like how like they be like on certain professions, like you too old to be doing this, or is it, you know what I'm saying? Like, how is that?
Um, I don't think that really exists with DJing. I mean,
Okay.
because you can really DJ until you just get tired of DJing. You know what I'm saying? There's always going
Okay.
to be a crowd for you. You know what I'm saying? Like most of the older DJs that I know, and that I met when I was younger, and that I met recently, a lot of them just ended up changing who they're DJing for. I'm saying so
Okay.
they're not the if you 50, 60 years old, you ain't trying to be at the club now DJing for the young crowd because that ain't your crowd no more.
Right.
That's that's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm
Right.
straight on that. You know what I'm saying? And so now they moving into, well, I'm gonna do family events, so they can do family reunions, they can do retirements, they can do anniversaries, they can do birthdays, they can do weddings, they can do picnics. You know what I'm saying? Where they get a chance to play an array
Right.
of music or whatever, and they still have value as long as they know how to connect with the crowd.
Okay.
They good. You know what I'm saying? I know a DJ now.
Right.
He's like, he might be almost 70, and he stays booked. You know what I'm saying? He do a lot of retirements. He do a lot of reunions. He do a lot of anniversaries, birthdays. He do a lot of weddings. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And he just typically plays for an older crowd. He just knows, what to play. So he got people. He the only person that they call. You know what I'm saying? And so a couple of times
Hmm.
I had to fill in for him. Luckily, I'm really like an old school head, so it really wasn't a big deal for me. But as a lot of people, he'd be like try to send people to stuff, and they'd be like, yeah, So certain
Right.
DJs fit certain, you know what I'm saying, certain crowds or whatever. So I mean, one of my favorite DJs ever is DJ Jazzy Jeff. He's in his 50s now, but he's still relevant. You know what I'm saying? And he can play
Hmm.
anything at any time, anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, there's really no age limit. You can start as early as you want to start,
I.
and you can DJ as long as you want to
Mhm.
DJ.
Mhm. I think a matter of fact, I seen Jazzy Jeff on Instagram not too long ago, and he was out, doing his thing. When matter of fact, when the pandemic was really, he was out there doing his live, just giving out everyday music. And he was saying that even in the videos that people hadn't seen him unless you was in the state he was in, because he was still doing
Oh yeah.
clubs. And he was like, it never stopped for me. He was like, you just change with the times. You see what was right, and you go from there. Like you said, you please the crowd. They'll always be calling your name, or you'll always get the call, unless that's what you
Right.
want to stop doing. Um, and I was like, I appreciate him, coming out and letting the people see that, yeah, he ain't dead. You know what I'm saying? The music is still alive, so that means I'm still
Mm-hmm.
alive. So that was a good point, a good reference point, a person to talk about. I noticed that you had got
Mm-hmm.
married
Yeah.
not so long
Yeah.
ago, and I thought that was cool because you guys did a
Yep.
virtual wedding, right?
Yep. We did ours virtual. We live streamed it.
Now I thought that was different, because I think I was, matter of fact, I think it came up on your memory from last year when you actually
Right.
proposed to
Yep.
her. And I'm looking like, oh, that's so dope. How I was telling people that you never know who is around you that is unique in their own right. Outside of music, I have watched you guys as a couple, go on live and have, conversations, adult
Mm-hmm.
conversations. And I thought that was different because a lot of times um we have mates, but they're not, you know, going on camera. They're not
Right.
doing all that.
Yeah, nah. I mean, it's not for everybody. That's not everybody's thing, and I get it. You know, for us, I mean, for us, it's cool. She's already comfortable being in front of the camera, and I wanted to be able to do something. We wanted to do something together, and there's always these stigmas about relationships and certain things, and so we like, we wanted to be able to, I guess you could say, spread some positivity. You know what I'm saying? People, um, the average person, if you ask them about marriage, outside of the ones that have really, really good relationships, everybody act like marriage is just such the struggle, and I'm like, but I don't really identify with that because my parents had a good relationship, and I got aunts and uncles who have very good relationships who've been married like 40 years, and so knowing what I know based on what they've told me over the years, like I knew how you could really have a successful marriage, and one, it starts with you, the husband and wife, really having a friendship and liking each other, actually like being around each other. Y'all can talk through everything. Y'all not at each other's throats. Y'all support each other in everything you do. You're still able to be an individual in the midst of being together as a couple. Like you're not trying to put a stranglehold on
Mm-hmm.
the other person. Like you gotta like what I like because we together now, or you gotta like what I like, or you can't like that because I don't like it, and just all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? That
Mm-hmm.
ends up infiltrating, what I'm saying, people's relationships even before they get married. You know what I'm
Relationships.
saying? And so we just decided that we wanted to be able to do something where we could share not only with the people that we already connected with, but hopefully with some other people that's connected to them, and they can see like, hey, some of the stuff that we may have issues with in relationships really don't have to be issues. You know what I'm saying? Some of it starts with us looking at us for real and really being honest with ourselves, and then having real expectations about what it is we want and need from another person. You know what I'm saying? And how we deal with them,
Mm-hmm.
how we react or respond to them. You know what I'm saying? Really having a mindset of, let me make sure that the other person is good. If both people are thinking that way, then you will both be good because your focus is on the other person. Like, hey, what can I do for you? What do you need from me? How can I make things better? Or what would you like today? It ain't got to be about you. You know what I'm saying? If you make it about the other person, and that other person is also making it about you, then there's really no need for there to be any lack. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be
Right.
missing out on anything. And that starts with just being grounded and communicating regularly and knowing what you like and what you don't like, and being comfortable enough to relay that to your partner without it being like y'all got to be at each other's throats and stuff like that.
That's a good conversation. Honesty and communication in a
Yeah.
relationship period is
Mm.
a must, because when you go in, as they say, you're becoming one. Well, I've been doing my own thing, and you've been doing your own thing. I can't assume anything, because me assuming and trying to um hold back because I might hurt your
Hmm.
feelings only hurts you, because you're not able to be honest and say, you know what, this bothers me, or uh certain pet peeves, like you popping gum irritates me.
Right.
Stop it. And then you'll be looking like, oh, it's just popping gum. Maybe it's a history behind why I don't like hearing somebody pop gum. As simple as that. Or as we learn, you move in together, and the simple thing of what type of soap you use.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all type of things.
But the funny thing is, nobody really talks about it. It's just like a thing, and then you either like it or you
Right.
don't like it. It's like, wait, as simple as which is so funny. You get used to a routine and somebody be like, you know what, I want to change it up. What you mean? I figured you out like this. What you mean you gotta change? Like, hold up, I wasn't ready for that. Like, no. I thought you like spaghetti, but I thought you don't like this type of the noodles. Now I gotta change how I like my spaghetti because you like it a certain way. So now you like, okay, now we gotta figure out there's no wrong way to make
True.
spaghetti.
True.
We still like
Yeah.
spaghetti, right? So simple things like that is funny. Like I said, I like the show that you guys have because it's an honest conversation. If you're an adult, you have adult conversations because again, I don't want to assume anything and then I'm wrong, you wrong, and then we both looking like the boo boo face. Like
Right.
we're not doing
Right.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, we have conversations about everything. And we started our relationship off that way even when we started dating. I tell guys that I talk to, you know, I'm like, yo, like, if you know what you want, then you need to set your intentions from the beginning, and you need to let the young lady know what it is you're actually looking for, so she can decide if she's looking for the same thing. Like, I'm not about to keep certain stuff. Like, I can't give you this yet because nope, I'm giving you everything off rip from the beginning, so you'll know
Mm,
where I'm at with it. And now you have everything that you need to make an informed decision on whether or not you want to date me or continue dating me. You know what I'm saying? And so that's
mm,
just how we started our relationship. I always started it off with being completely transparent. Everything where we were in that moment when we met, and everything that happened prior to us meeting each other. And so
right.
it was both for both of us. It was a different approach than what we had used in the past. And so, what I've
Okay.
always learned is if you want something different, you have to do something different.
Gotta do something
You know what I'm
different.
saying? So you hear people all the time talking about they come across the same type of guy or the same type of woman or the same this, the same that. And at the end of the day, you are responsible for you and you are responsible for your choices. And so when you choose these people over and over again, that's something about you that needs to change. And you have to be honest enough to be
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, whatever I'm doing to keep attracting these people or whatever I'm doing that's making me choose these people, I need to see what that is, and then I need to make a change myself. You can't leave it up to nobody else. And
Right.
so, that's how we approached this relationship, and everything that we had desired, everything that we wanted, we've gotten in each other because we changed our perspective.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever we was doing prior to that, it wasn't working. It wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
I was single for a long
Right.
time. It was not working. So
Mm-hmm. Right.
I did it totally different.
Also, so you if I'm not mistaken, you were teaching kids how to
Yeah,
DJ,
yep.
right?
So I do after school programming for kids. I started in 2014. I actually started with some other friends or whatever. A friend of mine, my boy Red, he had a after school program that he had called Mentors Through Music. And so he had hit me up. He was like, "Hey, Boog, I want you to. We want to add DJing to the program or whatever." I already talked to the staff and administrators or whatever and told them, and they thought it was a cool idea. And so I ended up joining on with them. We was teaching at Henry Ford Academy, which is now UPrep Art and Design Elementary School. But we started there in 2014. I think we had about mm, think we might have worked with like 30 or 40 kids that year, that school year. But we had DJing, we had drums, we had keys, we had guitar, we had photography, videography, um, um, poetry, um, and rap, and what's something else? I think there was one other thing. I think, well, no, that might have been everything. And then we had somebody else had like a joint program where they ended up doing acting or whatever. So we had a whole little thing going on, and so that's how I got into it. And after our second year, they cut funding, and so he was like, "Well, yeah, unless they come up with some money or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Um, we probably not gonna be able to do it. So I'll keep you posted." And so um, during that summer, I had got invited to teach a workshop on DJing, and so it went over real well. And I had wrote out you know, just a little short curriculum or whatever for this workshop. And then a friend of mine was just like, "Why if they not gonna run it back, why don't you just start your own program?" And I was like, "Okay." And so I wrote a whole curriculum um, for DJing for after school. And what I did first was I just reached out to people that I already knew that were administrators at schools like that was already principals or whatever. And so I just reached out to them like, "Hey, I just did a program these last 2 years. Actually, venturing out to do a DJ program separate. Do you think your school would be interested or whatever?" And so a couple people ended up hitting me back, and since 2016, I've been doing my own DJ program, and then I ended up actually also doing my program and adding my curriculum to the Keys to Life Performing Arts Summer Camp by the Union. And so I did that um, 3 years up until last summer. So of course nothing happened this year, but so this year I was actually planning on expanding the after school programming because I did 5 schools last school year, and so I was adding to that, and then I was actively looking for a building so I could expand even with my private students because I have private students too that I teach DJing to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's been a cool
Now
journey.
that is
I never expected to end up teaching DJing when I started DJing. You know what I'm saying? But it's actually cool. The kids love it, whether they end up sticking with it or not. They learn something, and they actually can apply the stuff that I learned to anything in music because I'm teaching them basic, count techniques. I'm teaching them basic ear training, and so that stuff they can apply to anything in music.
so. How do you? This is my thing. I was like, um, just not paying attention or not knowing because that's not my thing. It was, you buy the records, and I guess with the scratching thing, are y'all really messing up records?
Nah, I mean you have people that probably have tore some records up because they had bad needles, but nah,
Uh-huh.
the needles that they make for the turntables they don't scratch them up like that.
Oh, see, I thought I'm like, ooh, I would hate to have they keep going to the record store. Are they messing up these records or what? I
Yeah,
didn't
nah,
know.
they got specialized they
Oh,
got specialized needles for scratching or whatever. So and
okay.
then nothing like the original needles that might have came out in like the 70s. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Those were a little bit different. So over the years they've advanced in that area. Where those that are really turntablists really doing scratching and doing tricks and stuff like that. That they're not tearing up the vinyl that they're using.
Hmm. So is it possible, like, because it's something that was, you know, back in the day, can you like go to like the resale shops and get a lot of your equipment, or you just straight up buying new?
I mean, every now and then, if you search and really look, you could mess around and find somebody that's selling some equipment. You know what I'm saying? That may be vintage or um, and that may still be good. I've had some guys that ended up finding some cats that sold some turntables, some original techniques, and they got a real good deal on them, and all they had to do was replace, the turntable arm, and get new needles. So it ended up being a
Wow.
a great investment. Though that don't happen that often because most people who have once they have techniques and they have turntables, they usually keep them. You know what I'm saying? But every
Hmm.
now and then you'll be able to find somebody. It's always somebody that's selling speakers or something or some other type of used equipment. So I mean, you can always go the route of buying used equipment, or they got a lot more options now when it comes to buying equipment, where you can finance equipment. And so if you got a piece of equipment that you really want, it may cost $800-900, but you ain't got to pay $800-900 at one time. You know what I'm saying? As
Right.
long as your
Hmm.
your credit is cool, then you can go ahead and finance it, and you only got to pay 100 and 200 or 200 and something. You know what I'm saying? And you
Hmm.
can just your gigs can if you gigging, you can knock that out every month. You know what I'm saying? Just by being active. You know what I'm saying? Gigging or whatever. So a lot of the equipment that I bought in the past, that's how I ended up accumulating my equipment. You know what I'm saying? While I
Hmm.
was DJing regularly, and so then I would put that money right back into getting some more equipment. You know what I'm saying? So that's typically how it goes for most DJs. Like that's the only way you can really.
So I know you have a
Yeah.
daughter. So are you training her in music or DJing?
Sometimes when she come over to the house, she be like, "Daddy, I want to go. I want to go DJ." And I got a little small board that I actually had that I was gonna be using this year for my students because most of my students were elementary, so I was doing K through 5. So my youngest students last year were kindergarten. And so my daughter she already has like an ear for music. And so, you know, she's messed around with it a little bit. If I go downstairs to my workspace in the basement, sometimes she'll come down there with me and she'll be trying to, Daddy, can I DJ? Daddy, I want to DJ. Daddy, show me. And she'll be trying to push the buttons and do stuff. So I've showed her a little stuff. So as she get older, if she really want to, you know what I'm saying, I'll show her. She already musical.
So how do you oh, that was the other question. So how do you know what music is good to mix together?
Uh, that just comes with practice and just knowing music. Once you figure out and learn tempos of the songs, um, for me, I learn songs differently because not only am I learning the tempo, I learn songs in key. So I hear like I would when if I'm singing or I'm listening to somebody singing. I'm hearing based on the key, and I can hear the key changes and whether it's a minor or whether it's a major, if it's sharp or if it's flat. Like that's how I end up typically mixing music that I put together. It's usually by key. So and not all DJs mix that way because not all DJs are trained
Mhm.
that way by their ear. So because I took piano when I was a kid. I already, and plus singing real young and learning all the different, you know, just the scales and learning
Yeah.
different modulations
Yeah.
and what goes with what, and even how to manipulate it to where there may be two songs that you really like and want to play, and they may not necessarily go together, um, but you can manipulate it to where it sound like it go together. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it's just something you work on over and over. It just comes with practice and just doing it, and then just playing around with songs. You can always, see what works with what. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So to the average listener, they may not pick up on some of the stuff when it comes to key changes and stuff, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's typically how I mix music.
So, what was there was something else. I hate when that happens. I'm like, it was right there. It was right there. Okay. Oh, so now you have you on a radio,
Yeah, well,
right?
I started my own radio station. After the new year, it'll be fully launched or whatever. It'll be 24/7 music and talk radio, with podcasts and mix shows with DJs. So that's what I'm building now. The platform that I'm using right now is Mixcloud.
Mm-hmm.
Call in,
Oh, I,
available for creatives, mainly DJs and producers, for them to do live streaming. But they've set it up in a way
mm-hmm.
now, where pretty much anybody can do it, and you can run music throughout the day, almost 24/7. Really, if you program it right. And so, the key thing about Mixcloud was, one, it's the only streaming site that's actually legal as far as you being able to play copyrighted music. So all the artists who've registered their
Mm-hmm.
music, and you know, um, like on Facebook, Instagram, we would get cut off or muted or whatever because we play their music. Even when I was
Mm-hmm.
playing independent artists, if their song is registered, and the bot that they have that goes through the videos to see if there's copyrighted music being played. If it pick it up, then you know they're muted, right? But
Mm-hmm.
on Mixcloud, you don't have that situation because they're licensed or whatever. They have all the licenses. So all the DJs or producers or whatever that go on there, you pay your subscription or whatever that covers the licensing and broadcasting fees on there, and they have a revenue
Mm-hmm.
sharing model that's set up where a percentage of those subscriptions that you pay plus the subscribers that you get for
Mm-hmm.
your channel, the money is going back to
Mm-hmm.
the artists, you know what I'm saying, for their royalties. So they're getting paid for those streams as
Okay.
if they were, getting spins on radio. And so that was the biggest reason
Okay.
why I chose Mixcloud, um, to start, things with the station or whatever. So I'm still kind of in the building phase. I got a bunch of people now that are doing shows or whatever regularly or whatever, and so it's been cool so far. So I'm just getting ready for the full launch of the station. Once the main server is done and the apps for the station are done, then people will be they have access to the radio station 24/7, and it'll be mainly independent
That
artists.
is what's up. So, before we get off, I definitely want you to put, your information on Mix Cloud on here so people can support you. Find out what you're doing. It's nothing like having your own support you. Those who are in Detroit, I mean, even though this is going all over the place, it's not just Michigan, but those who are in Detroit, please support Boog. He is a very, very dope person to know.
Thank you.
As you can see, the conversation is as if like he's one of my cousins. Um, and I'm saying I've watched your show. I've been on the listening to your mixes when you actually on. I also had the privilege of downloading your playlist of Detroit's
Oh, okay. Detroit
finest
only.
of the independent artists here. Some of them I've never heard of before, but just off of the playlist that you created, I'm sitting up here listening to songs from Detroit artists. So I appreciate you giving love to
Yeah.
where you live. So that's Matter of fact, I was talking to my cousin the other day about how it's very important to support your own with, your money with black businesses and things of that nature. Keep them in your neighborhoods and things of that nature. So for you to do what you're doing to put, Detroit independent artists out, that somebody might not hear about before, is, dope. Just like when we were at Highland Park at Rashard
Mm-hmm.
Tucker's place, to see some of the Detroit artists, see a person like me getting up there on stage and honing on your craft before your people, your own kind. Who knows? It was getting so many people. You never know who was gonna come
Right.
visit, and you might get the call. You might, like, I want you to come over and do this. It was a networking place, which, I just had him on not too long ago, last weekend, I believe. um yeah, last Saturday I had Rashard on, and he's like, he can't wait to, get the spot open, and get us back to, networking with each other, because that's important for us to support each other. Are you frozen? I think he's frozen. I think someone called him again. I don't know what happened. Um, I'm trying to get.
Got me again.
I see. Uh,
Technology.
so, if you, before you get off, I don't know how you do that, but if you can put your information in the chat for them to see.
Yep. I'm gonna put the radio station website. They can go check out. Let me see. Radio.
Hey, did you get those the music links? Did you get the music links? Okay, sorry.
No problem. So I did just put in the comments the website and the social media handle for the radio station, and then I'm gonna put my social media handle
Okay, good.
as well.
I know I'll be, I think I'm booked the rest of the year.
That's cool.
Yes, I had to try to do better on my scheduling coming up in January. So I'm not doing so many conversations in one day. Like last Saturday, I did four back to back. A lot of talking.
Ooh wee.
But the whole point is really helping people. It really is. And a lot of people, to get hope, whatever. I had a young lady on who used to have HIV, used to have breast cancer, and she was, her whole family had COVID, and she's still here, and she doesn't have any of that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've been
That's
talking
amazing.
to some of everybody, so it doesn't seem like only one, person is getting help. One, it's a lot of, information, education out here that sometimes it's not shared. And,
Right.
having conversation with pastors and apostles, and listen, real conversations that we need to have. I'm not holding that.
Mhm. Right.
We need to have them. So continue even with your wife. Shouts out to her that the real conversations, even about marriage, need to relationships. Period, needs to be talked about. Continue
Yeah,
doing what you're doing with the kids. You know, when we get back to out of this pandemic, because we will.
yeah.
Um, they need they need art, they need a creative space, um and even in this, not being able to officially hug people and all of these things, it bothers me
Mm,
because I'm a touchy person, especially if I like you.
right.
So if it bothers me as a grown-up, I know it bothers kids not being able to be in that space. So as always, always know that the little sister here is watching you, and I'm going to support in any way possible that I can. Anything you put out, I'm sharing, because again, like I said, 6 degrees of separation, and we only one person away, one idea away, one whatever away from where we need to be. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for taking the time out, even though your phone been blowing up, taking taking the time out to talk to me. And of course, when I get my schedule in January, or yeah, I will definitely have you back on, so we can
All
see
right.
what's up the update on your radio.
Well,
Um,
it sounds like you need to format this as a podcast. You just need to be on my radio
Listen,
station.
we need to be off camera so I know what I'm doing, because I don't. Um, to get all of these videos off of here, and get the Facebook, I mean, not Facebook, but YouTube channel just for the conversation, because it's been a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you really need to format this as a podcast, and you need to be on the radio station too.
Listen, like I said, we need to talk off camera so we can and I got like I just got a new laptop. I got a podcast microphone already, got the headphones and everything. I just don't know
Oh,
what
see,
I'm
you
doing.
already ready. You
Uh,
already ready.
Listen, did you hear what I said? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. You ready? It's all right. It don't take much.
Right. So again, thank you, thank you. I'll be reaching out to you going
Thank
into
you.
the
Appreciate you.
before the new year, to see what I need to get to, take this to the next level. So,
All right. I'm with it. I got you back.
all righty. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
You welcome. All
All
right.
right.
Bye.